What's up, everybody? Today I want to talk about speed versus precision in your business. We've all been there in one form or another where we have to make decisions in the company, decide, okay, how should we approach, X or Y, sales project, marketing project, whatever it is. What level of detail should we plan? What level of detail should we analyze? And how should we move forward? So I have seen many times, in my opinion, it always goes wrong when it goes this direction. I've seen many times where people want to overanalyze, hyperanalyze, mega analyze, right, to try and create the perfect plan before moving forward with execution. And I'm here to tell you that in all my years of working in ecom, I have yet to see the perfect plan, right? I've seen plans that work, and I've seen plans that don't work, and I've seen everything in between, okay? With that said, there is no perfect plan. So if you are going slow, right? If you are hyper analyzing, spending a lot of time is what I mean by going slow, trying to create the perfect plan. I'm here to tell you that you are wasting your time. The perfect plan does not exist. You can have a good plan, you can have a bad plan, you can have a great plan, right? There's levels to it, but the perfect plan does not exist. Okay. And my balance of choice that I've always seen is that there's about a 20% cost of perfection for speed, right? And of course, it's a sliding scale, right? You can have, a little more perfection, but there's also that point where you're kind of hyper planning and you're not really gaining anything from it because yes, it's from X data, but that was from X time ago. You're now in a new period. So what was perfect plan 2 months ago may not be the perfect plan now, no matter how much data you have, no matter how much analysis you have, no matter how much AI you've used. At the end of the day, it's either a good plan or it's a bad plan, right? So the idea is to make a good plan or a great plan to the best of your ability without hitting that point of diminishing return when it comes to time invested in complexity of creating a plan, right? I always like to keep things simple, right? And simple is a relative term, but I would say I like to keep things relatively simple in relation to what they are, okay? If I'm creating a sales offering or a campaign, 99% of the time, it's better to keep it relatively simple. Of course, you use past data. Of course, you use information that you have about the current state or the future state of the business to create that plan. But if you are trying to hyperanalyze down to the individual piece, down to the minute detail, you are at the point where you're spending so much time to create said plan that you're not getting an equal return on your time that you're investing, right? Maybe up to that 80% mark, you were getting a return on that time invested to get to 80%. And then as soon as you hit that 80%, the return on your time, I mean, I would say it almost flatlines. Maybe you can squeeze out a little more than 80 without a flat line, but not much, right? So it's much, much better to use your time once you get to that 80%, or you say, okay, this is a great plan. I believe in this. Could I have planned it down to the hyper detail more? Yes. But you know what? I feel like I've hit that 80% threshold. I'm ready to move on to this next project or move on to the next month, move on to this next thing. Let me use my brain in another capacity where I'm going to get a better return on my investment, right? So sometimes, you always want to have a good plan, but once you hit that point, you want to go ahead and move forward. You want to keep the ball rolling. You want to keep momentum going. And you don't want to sit and dwell or create massive complexities that just slows the entire train down, right? I also think that sometimes these situations can trick you to where you feel like you're getting more back. You feel like that return is there. But once you're running these activities or once you're doing these, projects, whatever it is, you realize that it's not. Right. So you have to be hyper aware. And some people more than others, it just depends on the personality type. Some people, they're kind of running at 30% and they're flying through stuff, but the quality is crap. Okay. So that's not good either. That's why I mentioned the 80%. And I think that 80% can apply to different things also. Let's say you are outsourcing these projects to your team, your internal team, or an external team, whatever it is. Your general expectation should be about, it doesn't mean you don't want 100%. It means that a realistic expectation is going to be about 80% of full potential quality. But the upside in what that 20% paid for was speed. It allowed you to be agile. It allowed you to be hands off and you to work on something else while that work was being done. Okay. So I think you hear about 80-20 rules in different areas of the business, but I've always believed that this is an extremely relevant area to use that 80-20 rule. So I'm encouraging you today, if you take one thing from this video, it's not to be less detailed. It's not to not try to create the perfect plan. It's to be hyper aware and realistic on the return of your time investment whenever you're trying to create campaign plans or detailed plans for products or whatever it is, right? Just be hyper aware. And 80% isn't the magic number. Maybe for me, I felt like that was the magic number, but for everybody, it's going to look a little bit different. So I would just say you having that self-awareness and living in reality in your head with the self-awareness is going to allow you to make a better decision and figure out roughly where that point is for you, where your time is better spent on the next project or something else. So if you take one thing from that video, I hope you can take that. I hope that can make your days more efficient, make you a little bit faster, and maybe remove some stress along the way, not trying to perfect everything. Thanks, guys. Until next time.